A city based on industry, from market stalls to collieries, owners, directors and entrepreneurs. Oh, we've got all that and more. No matter how high you fly, no matter how far you go, the spotlight's on you and we call Wrexham home.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Wrexham Business Spotlight podcast. This is a podcast where each week we look at a different Wrexham business and a different Wrexham business owner. Thank you very much for everyone who watched season 1, for all your likes and your comments on social media. Really appreciate it. So here we are with season 2 and we're kicking off with Leighton Cox.
Season 2, cool.
Yeah, it's the first one on season 2, special place. Better known as Curls on Camera to some.
Yeah.
Right, so just introduce yourself, Leighton, tell them what we need to know about you and your business.
So I'm Leighton Cox, Wrexham born and bred. I am a cameraman, or in the industry what is called a director of photography, and I also specialise in Steadicam camera work. Operating about 15 years, but that makes me feel quite old now. Yeah, and I would say right now business is kind of good.
Yeah.
With what's going on in the town, yeah.
Great. So what was your background? How did you get involved in camera work?
I was a skateboarder in school.
Okay.
And I really wanted to go out and make skate videos. I was watching them all the time. I was out on the street skateboarding. So had a little bet on with my uncle about what grades I got in my GCSEs and how much money he would give me. And I ended up with £600 and I went straight to Curry's on the High Street, where it was back in the day, and bought my first camera. And I was also watching Jackass a lot at the time, so it was kind of 50-50 between skate videos and silly stuff. But yeah, I found a passion in that, and basically it all progressed from there. Went to college, failed at the sort of academic subjects, but then excelled in media and film studies, and then thought I'd take it to university. Went to Aberystwyth and did the TV production course there, TV and film production course, and everything I've always done well has been the production side, whereas the theory side hasn't been.
Doing that thing career.
Yeah, exactly. Lover, not a fighter? No, that's
no, it doesn't. Well, probably true. So then, coming out of university, you're trying to build a career, and did you go straight into being self-employed, or did you get sort of employment first?
Straight out of uni, I wanted to be a filmmaker, and there's not really a lot of money out there for just people straight out of university wanting to make a film. So I went and banged on all the doors of local production companies, and one production company was just like, yeah, have our kit, go out and make a film. So spent the summer making a film, and then when that guy saw what we did, he was like, okay, cool, do you want to come and work for us? And yeah, my career sort of like started with banging on doors and people sort of like believing in what you can do. And I guess that's kind of what I've done for the rest of my career.
So there's a definite saying about if you want to get into business, and we're hoping this podcast inspires to do that, but you should go and do what you love. It sounds like that's the path you've taken and made it work for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was incredibly passionate about the production side, so if ever I filmed something, I wanted to also edit it, and I'd like just spend so much time just tweaking the edit, and then being inspired, like, that's great, but we could do with this one more shot, or you know, and I just loved that process, and yeah, I've kind of always loved my hands on a camera and telling a story, whether that be about a football club or a local business in town. What we do has a lot of power. It can change a business. I remember one time where I was kind of working with Wrexham.com, and we decided to go to a local business in town that had just set up, and we made like a 1-minute quick introduction to the business, and we launched it at like Friday 4 o'clock, and Saturday morning at 10 o'clock they'd run out of all their stock for the week. just because of how like popular it became. So yeah, I really love what I do, and you know how it can change like people's lives, you know, businesses, can do a lot. Yeah.
We always talk in these episodes about the challenges involved in the business. So in that early stage where you were literally knocking down doors, how hard is it to be resilient and make that work for someone who's starting out?
Yeah. One, it's quite hard because a lot of the work that you do when you start out is for free in this industry. You've got to make a name. For yourself, you've got to get a show reel. People want to see what you can do before you know they take a risk on you of like employing you and that kind of thing. So there was a lot of challenges, but I had a very supportive family that you know I could spend a summer sort of like working for free, and then start making an income from it. Yeah, way back in the day, like 2010 or something.
I believe you'd said 2018 was sort of a big breakthrough for you, and you got involved in quite a big project at that time.
Yeah, so I'd been working a lot in corporate and weddings, and sort of like doing what I thought was like really good work within that sector. I was doing a lot of like international, like destination weddings, and sort of like high-end corporate work, and my friend who I worked with at the time decided to try and change his business, and instead of just being his name, which was Mike Staniforth, he changed his like online persona to Manchester DP. So DP is Director of Photography, because that's where he saw his career going, and he wanted other people to know that. So there was a production company in Barcelona that wanted to make a project in Manchester, and they needed a Manchester DP. So they typed that in.
And he made himself very SEOable.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. So yeah, he got a break, and I'd worked with him really well over the years, and he thought if anyone was going to come along on him for a project for 10 months, first and foremost, he needed to get on with that person. And then second, they needed the skill, but we were very like equally matched with our skill level, and yeah, that was Manchester City. The production company that won that had done work with
So this is the All or Nothing.
Yeah, sorry, All or Nothing at Man City. Yeah, it was good. It was incredible, and for me, like I was a skateboarder and a rugby player for Wrexham. So I was not interested in football one bit, and they thought that was an interesting quality because I might, you know, my eyes might be drawn to something else that like football.
Sort of like a fresh view of things.
Yeah, yeah, but over the course of that and seeing what the football players go through, sacrifices that they make, I was like, okay, yeah. My opinion's changed on it. I've got an appreciation for football players. They don't just, you know, roll around on the floor like fishes. You know, a rugby player. Well, coming from rugby, I always like saw football as just falling over. Whereas with rugby, I broke my nose and carried on playing. But yeah, that project taught me to have appreciation for.
So those top level international footballers as they are, what are they like as sort of characters? Did you integrate with them much?
So much during the day when they were training, because they're there to do a job, but every now and again, like once a week, we would go to a player's house in the evening. For instance, we went to Sergio Aguero's house, and it was the hottest place on earth. I have never been so hot in my life, and he's just swanning around in his vest and his shorts, and you know, we're there with really big heavy cameras, and he's got like a pool under his house. And I think just the heat and the humidity from that was just like, we were following him round for an hour, sweating.
I guess where he's from, he's probably used to warmer climates than us, isn't he?
Yeah.
So,
but that also changed my opinion again, because like he basically lived by himself in this mansion, and you know, it was like his best friend was his agent, and they'd have a chef that would come in, make him food. and then he'd play Fortnite all night and go to bed. He brought out this gold briefcase and opened it up. He was like, "Do you want to see what's inside?" And it was a PlayStation with 2 controllers. So then after we finished filming, the chef made us food and I was playing Fortnite with Sergio Aguero. Madness.
Yeah, put all the knocking on doors into perspective, did it? And
Yeah,
made it all worthwhile.
I think so. Yeah.
But so obviously you've been involved in a much more local football documentary, and you've been heavily involved in Welcome to Wrexham.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a story of how you got involved in that, isn't there?
Yeah, so I'd since gone on to make 2 other football documentaries. So I'd kind of found a niche for myself within football and sports documentaries. You know, right about that time, like every club is having a documentary made about them. Then COVID hit, just as I was in Como with the under-17s Indonesian squad, and they were being coached by Dennis Wise and Des Walker, and I was making a documentary for Indonesian TV in Indonesian. I don't quite know how I did it, like reflecting back on it. I went out of work for 7 months, and then the news breaks that Rob and Ryan are interested in buying the football club. And I remembered I was actually, it was my first day of work outside of COVID, and I feel bad, but I just was not present that day, because when the news broke, like, how could you focus on anything else? It was just the craziest story.
It's kind of where were you when you heard the news moment, isn't it?
Exactly that. And I was on a shoot and I managed to get through it, and then I was calling all my friends, like, trying to figure out what was going on. And then they said that they were going to make a documentary about it. So my first thought was that they'd bring in the Hollywood film crew and they'd tell, like, Hollywood's version of our story, I guess. I was like, not my much. So I went out with the camera and I started filming, like, anybody I know who's related to the football club, and it's where I met Rob Clark, actually.
Yeah.
Obviously,
he talked about you on his episodes.
Oh, right, yeah. But then I was like, maybe there's a chance that I could get on this, because I feel qualified. I'm also from Wrexham, so I'm qualified in Wrexham as well. So I put out a tweet and it said, documentary filmmaker with a focus on football, previously worked with Manchester City, and blah blah blah. I put up some photos of myself. Yeah, and then I had a phone call, which was very, like, nondescript. Hi, there's a project maybe in your area. I would like you to sign some documents. You might know what this is about, but you need to sign some things first. So it was a non-disclosure agreement. Yeah. Had that sent from a company in LA, and then I was like, this is it. And then I read the fine print, and it said if I leaked any information, I'd be sued for up to $3 million. So I thought long and hard about signing it, but I was like, I've got to sign it. And then I had a call back, and it was like, yeah, the director and the producer, or they call it showrunner in America, showrunner, and the producer are in Chester. They want to meet you. Maybe I've got the job. Maybe I'm the man. Or, like, you know, didn't know what was going to happen, and yeah, rest is kind of history.
So I guess that tweet was your online version. You were back to knocking on doors.
Knocking on doors. Yeah, maybe that's what I've always done.
Yeah. Still working as a technique, isn't it? I do think in terms of a business lesson, lots of people use different techniques. Yeah. There's a real way to knocking on doors and approaching people and speaking to people. It's a technique that is still going, isn't it?
What's that story if a tree falls in the forest?
Is it?
Yeah. I don't know. If you're not banging on doors, then yeah.
So the Welcome to Wrexham documentary, obviously it's been a huge success. What's it been like for you, and how's that impacted your business as a cameraman? Well,
thinking about that first season, after COVID, the industry had a massive boom in production because nobody had made anything for like 7-10 months. So then all of a sudden, like, loads of shows are being commissioned, and because of this boom there was a backlog in the industry. So after that boom, nobody wanted to recommission any work because they've got this backlog. So then there was about 2 years of, like, almost drought in the industry, and now we're in this place where advertisers don't really, have cut their spending budgets, and short-term projects are getting financed rather than like long-term like projects and series. But I'm on this job, which is kind of separate to all that, because this is being financed by America, and it's part of this like growing business, which is the football club now. So I worked solidly for 2 years on that first series. We shot a whole series during COVID, but basically once everybody came out of COVID, they didn't want to see a show where people had masks on.
Yeah.
There was nobody at the football matches. It was really hard to like engage with the team because you didn't see how the fans were reacting. So what was almost like a year's worth of work went into like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think they showed just the last game, didn't they? And
that's right.
Just did the Paul Rutherford scenes.
Yeah. So it was a little bit crushing, and then we went.
I was about to ask, how hard is it to know there would have been some great work you'd done in that, but never saw the light of day? Is that
and really, really tough work as well, because we were working with very strict COVID restrictions, which made our jobs a lot more difficult. You can have a certain amount, however many people in a room, and you're trying to build lights and an interview setup in a house where we have to bring everybody out of the house. We have to like clean it first and then go it like so. Our jobs were tough, and then a lot of that just didn't see the light of day. But watching the show, I can understand completely. But it was almost like there were 2 seasons worth of telly in that first series. Maybe that's why there was like 18 episodes or so. It was a little bit crushing, but I can see the benefit of it now.
And does this keep you fully occupied working on Welcome to Wrexham? Is it?
Yeah, it was 20. Well, it was 20 days a month. TV days are 10 plus 1, so you do 10 hours plus 1 lunch break, so it's an 11-hour day. And a lot of people said, "Oh, you got a job in your hometown. Like, how good is that?" And it's great, but like I was probably at home more when I worked in Manchester, travelling in and out, just for a little bit here and there. So at the end of season 1, I felt like I'd completed something, and having worked in football for about 6 years at that point, I felt like I needed to step away from it for a little bit. And I just had a son. Felt like I needed to be around the house a lot more, so I stepped away from series 2 of the show, which ended up being our promotion season out of the National League. So I chose the right season to go back to being a fan. And now I'm on season 3 of the documentary as one of the series directors of photography.
So obviously for the last few years, football has heavily dominated your business.
100%.
Is that an advantage that will get you into other things, or is it a disadvantage that you're typecasting yourself potentially?
With everything that's going on in the industry right now, and as I was referring to before, all the problems with things not getting commissioned, I think football is a fairly safe space. And also with the advancements of AI and where that's going to go for maybe dramas and other things, sports kind of feels safe. So even though I do think I am making a niche for myself, I think I'm kind of happy with that.
In the right area.
But I also do Steadicam, which is a very like specialist tool within the industry. It's usually used on high-end features and television, and I often call that like my moonlighting, as if like my day job is like documentary work, but then I get to work on music videos, commercials, and high-end television for like a day or 2. I get to jump into that world for a very brief time and then come back to the documentary work. So I've got quite a nice balance, I find.
So what's the biggest challenges you face running a business in this industry?
Well, as I told you earlier, I may have a rotator cuff tear, and I haven't been able to lift my arm up, and I have a very physical job, so challenges is like keeping myself healthy.
We do appreciate you going for the pain barrier to do this.
Yeah, viewers won't know, but I am in so much pain. But I felt like I really wanted to do this, and got to force myself out of the house so I can get a mope all day. Where were we? So I think challenges are like being physically capable to do the job. for 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, to be able to recover. Yeah, because if I can't use my legs, for instance, like I had to give up skateboarding and rugby for this. So I gave up some of my passions to because there was one day where I'd broken a finger, and then I had one of the most painful days on set where I was a focus puller on lenses and on a wireless focus control, and yeah, so painful. And I thought, right, that's it. Not playing rugby anymore. Not doing skateboarding. But challenges as well. I've been doing the Welcome to Wrexham series for so long, apart from that little break, that I've said no to a lot of clients that I would be doing regular work with. And the problem with that is then when you say no too many times, and I'm always suggesting somebody very capable to do the job, they get a rhythm with that client and they do great work for them, then there's no room for me to come back, and I'd feel bad if I was shifting my mate out of her job, because I'm back on the scene now. So I do find that when the documentary maybe pauses or takes a break or even stops, then I'll find it hard to build up a rhythm again, or find a new feature documentary.
So I guess in industries like mine, you can take on more clients and you can bring more staff members into your team, and you can service a wider range of people and keep growing. In yours, is it more that people want to hire you rather than hire your company?
Yeah, it's I'm a freelancer. I have a business, but they're after you and your skill set. So whether that's for a day or a project length, they're just after me and what I can do for them. Yeah.
So I guess in terms of challenges, that puts a restriction on you being able to scale it up and work on multiple projects at once. That's not something really doable for you.
I used to do a lot more of that. When I worked in corporate video, I would have maybe 5 or 6 regular clients, so within a month, I could still have 20 days work, and that might be 2 days filming and then 5 days editing with each of the businesses. Or I'd go into one company, I'd do 5 days of editing, I'd go and do 2 other days camera work for each of the other companies. But as I grew older and figured out what I really wanted to do was on the tools, out and about with people, I found a love for camera work, and kind of cut editing out. And those were some really hard decisions along the way. At what time do I stop doing weddings, for instance? Because weddings pays very well, but there's a lot of hard work, and you get one shot to do it right. And I was travelling all over the world, but then when you've got enough local work, do you need to go away and do that? Maybe I want to spend more time locally, so at some point you have to say, no, I'm going to stop that and focus on what I really, really want to do, and I think it's kind of paid off.
Yeah. But one thing I think is quite interesting about your business is, as a non-media world person, I would assume if you'd come out of university, you'd probably have to go to London to make this work, but here you are sitting in our great town or city, and you've built your business in this industry.
I went to London and I was terrified. I actually was off. Well, I went down on a Friday and I had a place to stay over the weekend. Went down on a Friday out of university, and I'd been working for maybe a year or two. Went down for an interview and basically to do a test shoot and edit. I did really well in it, and they called me about an hour later to tell me I'd got the job if I wanted to accept, and I said I'll wait till Monday. And I spent the evening in London, and I just did not like it. There's that kind of thing about being anonymous when you go to a big city, but like in Wrexham, felt like I had a community.
Yeah.
And although I couldn't probably build one in London, I just didn't think it was for me. So I came home the next day and just decided, right, Wrexham it is.
I think it's a really nice story, but even in an industry like yours, it's possible to do it from Wrexham.
Yeah.
And then you've ended up working on this great project in the town.
Yeah, it's weird to say that I made a conscious decision knowing that, like, you know, I could make it work up here. But really, for the type of work that I was doing and moving into, I was travelling more to Liverpool and Manchester a lot more. And then I spent 2 years with the Indonesian under-17 teams team, making this weekly documentary series about their squad, learning the ropes in the UK against UK academies, and that was based out of Birmingham, and then whatever academy they were going to. So, you know, for the 2 years before the Welcome to Wrexham show, I was like travelling all over the UK for work. Yeah, but I'm so happy that I just get to be around the town during this period for one, because I'd hate to be observing it from afar.
Yeah, I think that if I was living away and sort of watching what was going on,
I've got a friend in Vancouver
jealous.
who actually worked on the Deadpool movie, and he's from Wrexham. And I just put myself in his shoes, like now, like I honestly feel like we're having the best years of our lives. I certainly am, and I just hate to be outside it. And like I feel honestly like privileged to be like working on the show.
And he's like, I knew Ryan Reynolds before all you guys.
yeah, yeah, did. Don't know if he was from Wrexham or if there's any link.
So what does the future look like for your business? And
well,
mapped out or yes?
No, I honestly have been riding a wave since day one. Maybe I'm at the crest of it right now and it's about to come crashing down.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, I have no idea. You know, I just did my last day on what I think was season 3 of the documentary. There's no word on recommission or anything. Yeah, so far. So yeah, we'll see if that goes. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it's recommissioned because it's fantastic, isn't it?
I just think it's so linked with the football club and sponsors and everything now that it would be hard.
It's definitely driving a lot of sort of American fan base, isn't it?
Yeah, and fair play to them. They've got on board with it 110%. I've met a lot of them. I've been inspired by a lot of their stories, and it's just brilliant to have. You know, Focus Wales for me was that one weekend in Wrexham where a lot of people from outside of the town, outside of the country, would just descend upon Wrexham. It was great to go out to the bars and just meet people from all over the world. Now that happens daily,
yeah.
which is mad to think about. Yeah.
So uncertain what your future holds. But if I said to you, what's your dream director or actor to work with? You obviously
That's like
with...
asking me like what my favourite film is, because that changes day by day.
You obviously work with some pretty big ones already.
Oh man, I don't know how to answer that. Because the best directors probably really hard to work for and demand a lot.
Yeah,
Let's maybe redo that one. I'll come up with something better.
Okay.
Like for me, it's if I worked with a dream director, that means I've had to go to London or LA for maybe 8 months of my life, and I'm actually at a point where I'm not prepared to do that, because I've got a wife and a 3-year-old kid, and I actually just can't see myself leaving Wrexham.
No. I don't blame you. That answers the question perfectly.
Maybe there's no ambition in that, but
no, that's fine.
You know, yeah, we can use that.
Yeah. So, if someone was starting a business in Wrexham, maybe you could particularly focus on your industry. What advice would you give them from what you've learned?
Well, the internet and social media is now much more powerful than going and banging on doors. But I would actually go back to banging on doors, because you've got to get in front of people. Like I've had a lot of people send me emails with CVs, show reels, and do you know what? Like I read them, I respond, I maybe say like, you know, what I'm looking for and why I couldn't use them right now, or I haven't met that person. And for me, skills can be taught, but like being a good human being and getting on with people, that's, you know, that's probably what I look for. So if you get in front of somebody and you gel with them, then you're probably at the top of the list when work comes up.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I run a business in this town, and the more personal contacts you got, the more you know other people. It just works bigger than anything, doesn't it? It's the best marketing you can do. Just
I think so.
Being a nice person and you know, speaking to lots of people and.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing you talk.
Hopefully, people think of a nice person, but you never know.
You are. Yes. Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but like the one thing that you're told in the film and TV industry is don't be a dick. That's just the number one rule. Maybe I could rephrase that. Don't be a bad human being.
There we go.
If you want to recut that in. Because also, so runners are usually the first people coming through the industry. And I've seen runners 6 years later turn into directors, turn into camera operators at my side. Rude or nasty to any of them, you know, sooner or later they're telling me what to do or don't want me on their side.
There's a saying, isn't there, about looking after people when you're above them, because they'll be on the way up and they might be your boss in the future. And
that's right. That's right.
Remember that time?
I think it's the same for like all businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a lot of common advice. I always ask people on this, Leighton, what does success look like for you? I'm going to rephrase this question because you are far too humble, and you didn't mention when I asked you to describe your business, but you are an Emmy Award winner. So you're far too humble, I'll do it for you. Tell us about your Emmy Award.
The Emmys. So maybe about a year ago now, I found out that the show was nominated for 5 Emmys. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. And then somebody in our Welcome to Wrexham group said, congrats to Leighton Cox, Craig Hastings, and 2 other directors of photography that were credited on the Do or Die episode for outstanding cinematography for a reality programme. And I didn't think anything more of it until FX got in touch in December and were like, here's 2 tickets. Thinking, to what? So they were like, you can go to the Emmys. I spoke to my wife, and actually it was the first year that nominees could take someone with them. So I was able to take my wife to LA, and we just decided, hey, this is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. We'd never been to the States. Let's just go, have a lot of fun. We'll do 24 hours in LA. We'll go to the Emmys. What a crazy thing that'll be. We'll tell the grandkids, you know, we've been to the Emmys. And then they call out that we won, and I was just like, what? Yeah, an absolutely whirlwind, crazy trip. One I'll never forget. You know, it might be our names that like won the award for like cinematography. There's a whole team of people that made it possible for the people on the ground to do it, whether that's like in the production office or on set, or you know, the creatives thinking up these ideas that we execute on the ground. So you know, team effort, absolute team effort. I don't like feels wrong having my name on it, but
it must be in terms of you looking for future work and to develop your business. It must be the biggest piece of leverage out there.
I had a recent job where they, for the first time, they didn't tell me what the rate was. They asked me what the rate is.
Nice.
Yeah, but I kept it the same because I don't know. It's just a trophy.
It is, but it's a fantastic recognition, isn't it, of you doing a great job?
I think so. Yeah. But for me, the first thing I did was I took it to the Turf to see Wayne, to the DVD shop to see Rob, Annette, Simon, all the people who opened their lives, their doors, their hearts to us, to make the show what it was. And you know, without them, you know, you don't have a show.
No.
People don't fall in love with it as they did. So yeah, I always said it belongs to the town. It'll be in a museum when it reopens in 2026.
So I think I've answered that question for you. What success look like for you is winning an Emmy, surely.
No, well, that's really nice. But success, to me, is my kid thinking I'm still cool when he's 15 years old.
And he starts skateboarding and
yeah, exactly.
Tricks,
yeah. Success to me is a stable family in the town, in this ever-growing, ever-popular place we call home in Wrexham. Having a load of friends and a lovely community around me, that honestly feels like success.
And we always finish these podcasts. This Wrexham Business Spotlight has been on you for this episode, and we ask you to shine it onto another Wrexham business who you think deserves a bit of recognition and a bit of praise.
Well, I actually, when I said I took a bit of time off in between the seasons, I went and applied to be a volunteer at the food bank in Wrexham, and they do amazing work. It's all run by volunteers. I became a delivery driver for them because I felt like I wanted to give back to the town that has given me so much. I think is that a business? They're kind of a charity, but is that all right?
Yeah,
they accept food donations and money, and times are extremely hard for a lot of people. So if you can afford to give anything, that's probably what I'd say.
So Leighton, thank you very much for doing this. I know you're a popular man and you're in demand, so we were delighted to convince you to come on.
Thank you.
Hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, really have. It's great to see what you're doing as well, because you don't have to go out and do this sort of thing and shine a spotlight on businesses in Wrexham. So great work.
We're really keen on local business, and from what I do as a day job, I know there's so many good people out there running businesses, and we just wanted to sort of push it out a little bit really, and help people see each other. So, diolch yn fawr iawn.
Thank you very much. Cheers.